Welcome everybody to another episode of our Digital Art Nights here at the Brickstar Museum. For those of you who are familiar with what we do here, usually in a regular year, the museum hosts an art night every Friday in the summer or every second Friday, where we open the museum until 8 o'clock in the evening, and we welcome visitors to come in for free and enjoy the exhibits that we have going on, both art and historical, based on what we have going on that year. With the pandemic, we've opted not to stay open late into the evening, but we've decided to be bringing you these programs digitally, so you're able to either watch them at your own pace or every Friday, as we'll be releasing them throughout the summer. So I want to remind everybody that the museum is open regular hours. If you want to come in and you feel comfortable coming in, we would love to see you. We're open with limited capacity, and we always are encouraging mask wearing, as well as plenty of hand sanitizer here in the galleries to go around. So if you're comfortable coming in, we look forward to seeing you then. And of course, you'll be able to see in person some of the pieces that the artists will be talking about in the videos following my introduction here. So as I said, Art Nights originally started a couple of years ago, and we were open for free, and we had local artists teaching visitors about various different types of art, like pen and ink or how to create a comic book. So really fun things to do. And we'll be working on bringing some of those things to you digitally as well. So this year we're going to be posting digital artist visits, so videos, talking with local artists every Friday to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, as well as our website. So as I said, they'll be accessible to you whenever you would like to watch them. And I just want to mention that this project is funded in part by a grant from the Maine Arts Commission, which is a independent state agency supported by the National Endowment for the Arts. So we really appreciate the support of Maine Arts Commission, especially in this process that we're all still getting used to. So as we explore artwork tonight, I hope that you enjoy. And of course, if you have any questions for the artist, these are obviously pre-recorded. But if you have any questions for the artist or for the museum staff, make sure that you put your questions below in the comments, obviously on Facebook or YouTube, and of course on our website, there's a comment section as well. And then we will work on getting those questions answered for you. This evening, we are going to be visiting with Christine Anuszewski, who is from right here in the Kennebunks, and she's a photographer who's in the bicentennial show called Perspectives 2020. Christine is a very interesting artist generally, so what you'll be hearing about is her perspective on photography, the pieces and tools that she uses, her inspiration behind her photos, as well as her very exciting background in traveling the world. So I would say she's probably one of the most traveled people that I know, and listening to her memories of traveling is sure to make all of us want to get up out of our houses, if it doesn't make you feel that way already, to see a little bit more of the world than we do. So I hope you enjoy this interview, and here is Christine.
Okay, so Christine, thank you for being here at the Brickstar Museum today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
So Christine is standing next to her piece that she's entered in the bicentennial show here. So Christine, would you tell us a little bit about how you became a photographer?
Absolutely. So as a kid, I was always interested in art. I spent my summers at KDIA over on Kennebunk Beach taking art lessons from a couple of nuns. If you're probably familiar with the name Sister Gerald and Sister Vincent, they were my inspiration growing up. Sister Gerald always had a camera on her, and that just triggered something. She always would take photographs of us doing our art, and it was always a DSL, and I always eyed the camera, so that kind of planted a seed early on. And my dad had a couple of SLRs, and he would always talk about this one photographer he knew from National Geographic that also planted seeds in my head at an early age.
Wow.
So my inspiration for my work has always been National Geographic magazines and learning about the world and in photographing the people, places, and cultures that we find are beautiful all around us. Yeah, my grandfather was a sea captain. He traveled around, and he would always bring me gifts and such, and he always brought me currency too. And that inspired putting all that together. It's led to my passion, and I'm probably one of the few people that you know that would say that they've been on all 7 continents.
That is right.
And ask Cynthia about that. And I always had a camera with me while traveling when I was teaching in Japan, to my many adventures working for Lindblad Expeditions, where I sailed from Southeast Alaska through the Panama Canal, working on a wildlife photography conservation project in South Africa, and being around other photographers who shared my passion. So, in how I got into it, I wouldn't say I'm traditionally taught as a photographer. It's all been more self-studying, looking at magazines, teaching myself from watching numerous YouTube videos to a friend of mine's college professor from my famous photography school, some of his classes on Creative Live, and I'd done art and such, but also for me it's more about trusting yourself and trusting your eye and what you can see, because everyone in the world does see different. So that's kind of me in a nutshell summed up here.
Nice. So I'm going to ask you about a little bit more about your travels in a minute.
Yeah.
But if you want to tell us about how you captured this piece and why you chose this piece for the bicentennial show.
Okay, so I wanted something big, and I was debating on several canvases I had. This is actually a photograph on canvas. It looks more like a color painting.
Yes.
So, which I love printing on and such. And what I wanted, what was speaking to me for the community, and especially right now, and I chose the piece before this pandemic started. I wanted something connected to beauty and in nature, to remind us here in the community that there is some natural places out here unspoiled, that people can go to, that there's a sense of stillness, tranquility out there for you to connect to nature and to be inspired. And honestly, beauty can be found in the simplest places. Even if you order a meal at one of the famous restaurants in town, to watching the kids on the playgrounds at the local schools, to the beach, because the beach always shifts and changes all the time, and it reminds, in the waves too, and it reminds us of we're going through major changes. Changes here, not just here in the Kennebunk, but also in the world.
Sure.
Part of me. There.
Wow, that's fantastic. So can I ask you a question about how photos are printed on canvas?
Absolutely. I did this off on one of my sites, but because there's different labs out there that you can print off of, and basically you just upload your image, make sure you have the correct DPI, the pixel sizes, and everything, and you upload it to your computer, to whatever lab you want to do, from Shutterfly to Pix, and basically they receive it after you obviously give the payment and such and the permission, and they have the tools out there to print, taking that images. But I also came in here today wearing one of the masks I printed off of one of my they're on one of my online shops, my Society 6 shops. So I actually make a little bit of, I do affirmation prints to remind others to first believe in themselves. So this is my I believe in me, and I've been going through major changes personally, so I feel like this is what a message for myself as I go through these changes.
That's fair, and that's a good way to carry it, especially on a mask since we're all
Mask. I
wearing
have
it.
this on a t-shirt. I printed stickers this winter,
Oh.
so I have it on different. But I have other messages too. I have some from down at Cape Porpoise that says "Trust the Unknown." Funny thing that is, it's actually a friend of mine's lobster boat, I believe. And I have another one, print that I did from the Colony Beaches sunset. And I remember I was actually with that one. I was talking to my dad on the phone, on my iPhone that night,
wow.
and I took the photo. And then when I get into that mood to do my affirmations, I put "Love Life" on that one
Nice.
because it kind of reminded me of what my dad was going through too during that time.
Sure.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's excellent. So we can see, obviously, you do photography of locally here. So this is Goose Rocks Beach. But as you mentioned before, and I said I was going to get back to this, so Christine has traveled throughout the world. I first met Christine through actually the museum used to do a photography contest, and she submitted beautiful photographs from all over the world, which got me to talking to her. And I just remember there were a couple from, I think, the Galapagos Islands that you had taken.
That was one. It was my Sally Lightfoot crab one, and then the other one, I still can remember. It was just right over there. I can just picture the exhibit. And I remember a close friend of mine who's a local jeweler. She was like so excited to come in to make her boat.
Oh wow! Nice.
Yeah, the other one was my Tracy Arm photo from Alaska, because I spent 4 summers up in Alaska sailing around Southeast. And one summer was spent living in Juneau, and I would make runs down to Tracy Arm every week during these 4 summers, and it's this gorgeous fjord. It's one of my favorite places to sail up there.
Wow.
And there's something about the beauty of being in Juneau. It reminds me of coastal Maine a lot.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot with the fishing, the wildlife, and the way of life is more simpler up in the last frontier.
Sure, that makes sense. So you've traveled a lot.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite place?
Everyone asks me that, but every place I've gone to, despite how challenging it was, I always find something beautiful there.
Wow.
There.
That's a good outlook.
Yeah, and there's something beautiful there. Like, I would have my own like favorite restaurants I would go to in the city that I lived into Japan, to like just sailing on the beach, or going to the beach, or going to certain places wherever. And especially Ireland's close to my heart because my mother's side of the family is all Irish, but it's not that. It's part of that, but then there's a close connection there to the west. And then I love the Cliffs of Moors in Connemara, and those are some of my favorite places just to go, because I've been there multiple times to go photograph, and you always see something different.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So COVID has kind of shut everything down, but did you have plans to be traveling this year?
I went to Florida. I went to Disney actually to have fun, and I found myself at Animal Kingdom to go on a safari because I missed the wildlife.
Oh yeah.
Was part of the reason for that. I also went to Canada before they shut the border down up in New Brunswick. St. Andrews by the Sea is a great, beautiful spot up there.
Oh wow.
It's only about 5 hours drive. But I had those planned before they shut down the place. And the funny thing was, I was in Disney about 2 weeks before they shut it down. Yes, I was hanging out with my cousin down there, so that was good.
That's
nice
fun.
to see her.
So what's the farthest that you've traveled from?
The farthest I've traveled, actually, I've sailed across the Antarctic border, Antarctic Circle.
Wow.
That's the farther south. Those plane rides to Japan and Australia, those are something, they're about 20 hours. They feed you, you get multiple movies, and especially if you're heading in the other direction, going to Dubai.
Oh yeah.
There's some great movies that they put on. I love those movies in your personal seat.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. That'll pass the time anyway.
It makes a big difference. And back in the 80s, or you would have to 80s and 90s. You have to watch whatever one that they put on the screen.
Yes, that's right. The drop-down screen.
Drop-down screen.
Yeah,
So
that's fantastic.
yeah.
So last question for me is that I've noticed, and you kind of referred to it before, is that a lot of your photography that I've seen anyway has to do with nature and animals and things like
Absolutely.
that. Is that what you would say is your focus and purpose?
Primarily, and I also do portraits as well.
Okay.
And the funny thing is how I created this piece was I went down to Goose Rocks to check on a job for my dad because he's a local builder.
Oh, okay.
So I was down there and I had my camera, and the lighting in what was going on was the sky and the reflection that you can see right here.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to capture it. And Timber Island, that famous little island, Goose Rocks Bay, is just right over here.
Yeah.
So there was something about it, just what I saw, and it kind of spoke to me, and I was like, I just gotta go photograph this.
Right.
This.
And these, you use DSLR?
Yeah, I used a couple DSLRs. Yeah, I also use my, sometimes if I don't have that and I'm at work and watching a beautiful sunset,
Yeah.
I will take out the iPhone.
Right, which seems to work.
Which is great. GoPros are great ones too.
Yeah.
It honestly doesn't matter the camera. It's more about the eye. The equipment's more of a tool.
Okay, yeah.
And what you can see with your eye is more greater value than the tool.
Well, that's a good pointer. Well, I think that's all the questions I have. Did I miss anything that you want to mention?
I don't think so, to be honest. I really don't.
Well, I appreciate you coming to talk about this, and I'm sure we will see more of you because you are always producing awesome photographs, so we should probably have a show of yours one of these days, so we will see you back here at the museum.
Yeah, it's been great, and it's been a pleasure to be here today. So
Awesome.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine.